So we got Alex with us today again.
We got Alex with us today.
Yo. Probably go up before the React, so I guess this is the first time most people are going to meet him.
Yep.
I'm going to be honest, I'm just going to put this up as soon as we're done, basically.
Oh, really?
It's just going up.
Okay, fair enough.
No, well, the podcast is one of those. It's up, it's done, whatever.
It's a rogue.
There's no consistency.
You never know when it's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
Just go by the flow, kind of.
Yeah, we used to do one every week.
Yeah.
And then
All
it's
right.
like, got into like, just not diminishing returns because there was never a high point to it. But
no, certainly not. But hey, some people like it.
Some people really like it and wish that we would do it all the time. So, like, I always have fun with the podcast, but it's like, it's just almost like masturbation to some extent.
Oh yes, certainly. But I personally love it. Like, especially like the thing. I think it's like a cool thing to listen, like more like just people's stories. Like when you get fed up on the music, So I think it's something.
Oh yeah,
should
man.
Probably do more often.
Oh yeah.
If it were me, like if it were for my taste, we wouldn't do music. We would do podcasts. That's where like when Rick wants to do the podcast, I'm like I'm with him, but like I don't get it from the tattooer standpoint because I don't do that part, right? So like you said, when you're tattooing, you need music.
Well, okay. I don't know if you have this.
It really bothered Scott.
Yeah, for sure. I don't really listen to what's going on. Like my focus is not there. So like if there's a podcast, I'm not really hearing it. I'm kind of focused on what I'm doing. Maybe. No, maybe not yet.
Because like Rick zones out and he's like, he doesn't even care what he's doing. Like he's almost like he's a robot.
Yeah, but I don't think he's listening to the podcast either. I think it's just he likes having talking.
White noise.
But like I would say, I think over the time you can kind of like have that focus on listening the podcast at the same time. It's like once you know the certain techniques and you're doing the work, then you kind of like switch the mind. Like, okay, I have to like do this gap, like the shading, and then you kind of like focus on the on listening as well.
Yeah,
that's what I have. I can easily like put up the I'll go like certain like podcasts. Like, okay, I want to listen to this guest. I'm gonna probably listen during the tattoo because that's where. Like the focus, I can kind of balance it between the tattoo and getting that information in from the headphones.
Yeah, fair.
This is what I was thinking is like when I used to do my old job, like if I was new, I wouldn't be able to do that. But I was just carrying out tasks, right, that I've done a million times. And I could listen to a podcast all the way through the busiest parts of the day and never drop a second. I couldn't have done that when I was new. I would have needed extreme focus, right? But as you do that shit over and over and over and over again, it's like, okay, this is autopilot. And then you don't need to focus. And I think that could happen with tattooing too, probably.
Probably.
Right.
I mean, for me, the easiest thing, like the best, like the smoothest days I have are when I get to listen to stuff that I already have heard. Like
yeah,
it's
in
like
nostalgia land.
Yeah, if I go into nostalgia land, my brain just doesn't seem to need to focus on it, and I just am like I can hear it and I like hum along or whatever and bob my head or whatnot, but like it doesn't take any portion of my. So there's a book called Peak Mind that I'm reading right now, and it's specifically about attention, and we have like different systems to try and pull us in and out of attention, and the only thing that I've noticed with odd podcasts or music or something like that is it can pull me out of attention.
Yeah. Oh, and then you're like, fuck.
So if it's something that like if Terry's playing Suicide Boys, I hate it. Like I hate it so much. It
Kevin,
like viscerally.
not a certified freak.
I viscerally react to it. And it will pull me out of whatever it is that I'm doing. It can be anything else, and then all of a sudden Suicide Boys comes on, and I'm like, this has to stop now. And I don't know. That's just how it is. And then like occasionally we'll get a podcast where the guest voice is super annoying, and then since I'm not actually hearing it, all I get is annoying, and then it pulls me out of my attention.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you listen to? You have the headphones in every day.
Oh,
do you always listen to podcasts?
No, I do.
Suicide Boys?
I do. I do also them.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Once in a while. But it's mostly plays. It plays on the feelings, and for me, it's important what kind of weather is outside, because I can switch it like between. Like the because if it's gonna be like sunny outside and like nice warm weather, like I'm not gonna listen to like ambient jungle like drum and bass stuff. I'm gonna be on like funk music and all that. But I mostly stick to like as well like certified classics, you know, like because otherwise if the Spotify starts to give you like random new songs for you, you may hear some good tunes, and then you have to like stop. It's like, I have to save this, you know. It's like taking off the gloves, or like, or you hate this, so you have to like like switch to the next one, you know.
I can't listen to this shit.
Yeah, so you kind of listen the music you already been listening for ages, because you know, like, you ain't gonna need to stop to like save it or like to skip it.
But that's kind of what I mean. Like, you know, all those things pull you out, and like when you're in a good flow of something, to get pulled out is actually quite frustrating.
There's nothing but that in here sometimes.
Yeah.
Like pace changes.
Because then you have to try and get
chaos.
Yeah, you have to try and get back into it, which is like not perfect.
So what would be ideal is for everyone to have their version of Rick's Monday.
Yeah, pretty well.
You know what I mean? Where he comes in, he gets to have whatever he wants on, no one contests it, and he just does his thing.
I mean, I think that's why the headphones can help.
Oh, yeah, you're in your own realm.
But, like, I really wish I could have headphones with my client. Like, so I could hear them. Because I don't... I
bet you that's coming.
Probably.
Sign language.
Yeah, there we go.
We learned sign language before we tattoo.
Yeah.
Everyone who gets tattooed at Rocky Mountain needs to know sign language.
Have a course or two of sign language.
You need to do like a small like A4 page, like with the forum, you know,
Yeah.
which signs you have to show, like, for like this sign for like I need to pee, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
That would be helpful.
I think it would be a handy thing to be able to have kind of like your own little world, but at the same time not out of it.
Isn't it interesting? Like, my music taste is way different from yours.
Yeah, no shit.
Don't get me wrong. I can listen to anything.
You and I are different.
I can listen to anything and not really make much fuss. But what I listen to will change a lot depending on the season. Like, I like different...
Yeah.
I like mostly metal, don't get me wrong. But, like, I have extreme metal interests. Like, I like ambient black metal, like atmospheric stuff, and funeral doom metal, which is incredibly heavy, slow stuff. And then I like really spacey, like techno metal sometimes too. But it all depends. Like, for me, I didn't really even realize that. Like, I was like, why am I listening to this like so often? I'm like, oh, I like this stuff in winter, this stuff in summer. It all depends on temperature and stuff for me. It's really weird.
It's the same for me.
Like in colder months, I want like the coldest metal.
Oh yeah, like the darkest. Like,
yeah, the darkest, coldest shit.
Most depressive stuff you can find.
Well, in summer, I like really, really slow, dreary. But like, I don't know. It's weird that not what I listen to necessarily, but like that music is influenced by the weather and shit. Like what we want to listen to, or like extraneous factors. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and like what I hate is like in the UK, in London, you know. So there's a point in like a spring where the weather changes every 10-15 minutes, and then like the sun comes up, and like in the morning you start to think, it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna listen to funk, you know. Like 10 minutes later, it's like raining outside. It's like, fuck, I have to like switch the music on. Like
you get that with Chinook coming in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like your whole body feels out of sync.
Yeah.
It's like, where am I? What am I supposed to be doing with my life?
Yeah, the pressure change is wild.
And you're like, I go dressed for winter, and it ends up warm, and then you're sweating.
Oh yeah.
It's very uncomfortable.
Here it's weird as well. Like
layers are necessary.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I don't understand what do you think that is? The music is so influenced by that. You're
By
a
the
music
weather?
guy.
I mean, there's a whole number of things that I think would play into it. Sunlight, for sure. Like, I think the amount of sunlight that your eyes are getting will adjust your, like what you want to take in through the day. Because, like, you'd probably want to eat different things, too. Probably want to watch different movies. You probably wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's a reason that, like, there's a summer blockbuster that's like the stupid Transformers movies come out in the summer, right? Like, I'm sure they've done some research
Those
to
popcorn flicks.
I never thought about that.
Yeah.
It's a fact, actually.
Oh yeah. And like if you're
Transformers, a summer movie.
yeah, it's always a summer movie, the summer blockbuster. It's like, okay, well,
it is. But you know what else? Those big movie trilogies, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, that stuff always comes out around Christmas.
Yeah.
Like they timed those things to come out around Christmas.
Well, and they're always the spooky ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like what? Why is that?
As soon as you get past October, you're kind of like, I don't really want bright and shiny movies.
Yeah.
I want them to kind of have like a dark tonality to them almost, you know? And I think there's probably something to our like biologically, I'm sure that because your hormones change drastically throughout the year. Like men are going to be at their peak testosterone in the fall. Just is. And that, I think, will affect the changes of everything. You're getting more sunlight, less sunlight. Again, you're probably eating different things. I would think like we have a weird rhythm that we don't really understand, but yet it plays into all of our marketing and our weird decisions that we make. Oh,
definitely. It's capitalized on.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, good? Is that good?
I don't know. I think it just is.
It's like, it's not bad, right?
Yeah. Because everyone has it, you know.
Yeah, it's not bad.
I think if we knew it better and could embrace it more, I think it would serve us better. Like, I think, like, if you planned certain things for certain times a year because you knew just, okay, this is how my biology works.
Yeah, more awareness would be great.
Yeah,
because stage events around it.
Exactly. You're just a little bit better informed, you know what I mean?
And, like, think, like, if you're going to watch Harry Potter in the summer, you're a psychopath.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're not wrong, man. Yeah, your whole clock is rewired wrong.
Yeah, it's like first October, then you can start to do it.
Yeah,
those aren't
that,
those movies aren't for me necessarily anyway, but, like, on that side of things, I like Lord of the Rings more, but...
Yeah, you like that Ring of Power, do you?
Oh, good God. That show, like, the acting was so wooden. I don't know if you've seen any of it.
I haven't yet.
No, I've seen... No, I haven't seen yet.
Like...
Maybe I've seen it.
I watched all of it because Sarah really wanted to watch it, and I started out excited about it, but my God.
Really?
By the end of it, I was just tapping out.
Almost 100 million an episode.
Yeah, and it's like you see a wrestler in like a wrestling hold in the old like WWF, and they're like trying to hold on, and then at the end they just tap out furiously. It was like that for me at the end.
Yep.
When they were rolling the credits of the last episode, I was full done, like, let me out of this thing. Just screaming in pain, just no more.
So what about it?
Everything, man. I don't even know. The casting was brutal. Like, it was absolutely brutal. None of the elves looked like elves. Like, none of the dwarves looked okay. The hobbits were like the Harfoots that weren't even supposed to exist in this timeline. They were a mixed bag at best.
Yeah.
The actor that spoilers, the actor that plays Sauron, he looked like white trash Aragorn. Like, I don't know. The character that played Galadriel was just loathsome. She was so unlikable. Like, fundamentally unlikable. Like, if you met this person in real life, you would not want to be around them. Like, just very, very unlikable in every way. But somehow all the characters loved her, even though she was a bitch to everyone. Like, it was really weird. Like, I don't know. I didn't like any of the characters. There's maybe one or two characters that were all right. I like the dwarves, but everything else just felt like stiff and unappealing.
That's no fun.
But where the timeline is based in the series?
The Second Age or whatever, I think.
So that is like before the
movies.
Before the movies.
But I think it's even before The Hobbit.
Yeah, it is before The Hobbit.
Like, it's got to be, because this is like the formation of the rings.
Yeah, and that happens in the last episode, but like...
Because I thought like they tried to like remake the movies like this
no.
timeline.
That would be a
thinking,
bad idea.
Yeah, like what the fuck? How you will like pitch someone like, okay, we need like 100 million for the single episode, and what's going to be the cast? None of the original.
Well, that is
I don't know where
is.
they put the money,
and they're all like
casting.
Well, they're all unknown actors, like all of them, I think, because they put the money in CGI really.
Which, though, when you do that, like, if the show isn't good, I don't care what the effects are.
Yeah.
Like, I could have no effects and I'd be fine if you have a good story. You go watch the old Lord of the Rings and, like, there's only a few scenes that are really cheesy. But, like, I don't care. Like, I'm like, oh, it's the story, right? There's one scene in particular that's really hilarious to watch where Galadriel gets close to the ring and she turns green and starts floating. And the special effects just kind of weren't there yet. It's
really?
not great.
They weren't there for $100 million an episode.
No, that's the old Lord of the Rings.
Oh, the old one. Yeah.
That's the only scene where I'm like, this is kind of on the nose.
Yeah.
But it was kind of like you could see that it's like CGI, but like it was that type of CGI that is like, oh, that's like a bit scary, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like,
yeah,
a bit off scary.
They weren't passing the what is it, the Turing test?
Yeah.
where it's
the Uncanny Valley.
The Uncanny Valley thing that
Yeah.
just weren't there yet. Like at the same time, I don't want them to touch it. Like I
No,
don't want them to
don't
go
mess
near
with
it.
Yeah.
Because they'll make it worse.
Yeah, I mean, this is a bold statement, but I think since the Fellowship of the Ring, they've kind of consistently gotten worse.
Yeah.
Like Two Towers, I liked.
I liked the trilogy. Like the best one was the first one.
Yeah, for sure.
But
It
like
had
they
the
were
most-
all good.
I just think the best one had to be the most practical,
Yeah.
and that was probably it's like it felt the most real. Like when you got into the third one, and all of a sudden they could do the Ghost Army. It was one of those like, all right, now all of a sudden this is a little
Yeah,
disconnected.
it was a little cheesy.
Just a little disconnected,
Yeah.
Everything's like too CGI-y.
Yeah.
And then they just went hard at that. They went hard in the paint for that the
First
whole
one was
time.
like even the wizard battle between Gandalf and
Yeah, it was awesome.
Saruman.
Yep.
They used no effects. It was just like force of mind shit. It
Yeah.
was awesome.
Yeah, it was epic.
And then the lines were delivered so well. Like there's none of that in the show where it's like
Really?
these sharp, biting, well delivered lines. Like, what is it? Gandalf says to Saruman. He goes, "When did Saruman the Wise forsake wisdom for madness?" And then
Yeah.
the fight starts. You're like,
Oh, madness.
Right, you're real in, right?
Well, they had like proper thespian actors.
Oh,
you know what I
those
mean?
guys were legit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They had real badasses in
Which
that
is
movie.
kind of what I had assumed they would have done for this.
No.
Like just some badass actors.
It felt like a high school play.
Oh no.
It was very cheap.
We gotta
Are they
watch
still
it.
alive, the Gandalf and like the
Gandalf
actual-
is.
Sauron's not.
Saruman,
Saruman's
yeah.
not.
Saruman.
Christopher
he's done.
Lee, or I think that's his name.
Did you ever hear his little thing on the stabbing or whatever?
What?
Because so he gets stabbed or whatever by.
He's from London.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Oh shit!
That dude was
That makes
Dracula.
sense.
Like he was the original
He was the
Dracula.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He was in more movies than any actor ever
Yeah.
alive, I guess.
Because he was in the SAS or the MI5 or
Oh,
whatever.
right.
He was like a badass military dude.
He was
And-
in a Bond movie too.
Yeah.
Thank.
But he was talking with Peter Jackson about the scene where he gets stabbed or whatever. And what was it? Peter Jackson was trying to get him to like make noises and stuff. But in that thing, he gets stabbed and he goes, takes his breath away kind of thing. And he said, it was something like, because that's actually what happens. I've been stabbed, and that is what happens. It was
Yeah.
one of those like, holy shit, man,
Yeah,
you
this
are.
guy's a badass.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He, that dude, like, the more you know about him, the more interesting he is. But he did like a narration vocals for a metal band, power
no
metal
way.
band named. Well, they were named Rhapsody, and they got sued by that company, Rhapsody, that put out like music sharing or whatever. It's like they were Rhapsody first, though. This band was out before that. But anyway, I don't want to get into all that garbage. Rhapsody of Fire is what they're called now. I don't know if they're still making music or not, but they had an album where it was like very cinematic, and he narrated like parts in between songs and during songs with the same voice that he used to be Saruman.
Oh, that's cool.
It was fucking amazing.
Nice.
That is nice. I love when they like put like some narrates in the movie, of, like in the songs.
Yeah.
You know, like some texts and.
Yeah, well, that band is cinematic anyway. Like they're really, really heavy into like they're like fantasy power metal. So like imagine Iron Maiden on like crack, right? Like it's really indulgent. It's incredibly indulgent in mythos, and like they have like I don't know, like crazy instruments and choirs and really, really high pitched vocals, and anyway, it's interesting music, but it's not my bag. But that was really cool.
Or at least you haven't found the season for it.
Well, I used to like that stuff when I was young. Like I was a big like Nightwish guy and like power metal, speed metal, that kind of stuff. Pirate metal, Viking metal, all that folky type metal. But I can't really listen to that stuff anymore. It's kind of too happy for me now.
Oh yeah, I went
It's
to,
really
like,
happy.
pirate
Too
metal
happy,
gig.
hey?
It is. It's super happy. It's like it's if you had the poppiest version of metal. Like that's it. While still being heavy, it's just really upbeat, like cheerful.
I mean, that sounds like my bag. I
I
like that
went
stuff.
to a pirate metal gig once.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just randomly, and like so I hated it. Like, because I wanted to get out. It just sounded so shit.
Man, there was
it's just
one.
not my thing. Is it?
Rick really likes the pirate band. What the hell is it called?
Ailstorm?
Ailstorm, yeah.
Yeah,
And
they're bordering that for sure.
there's this one record that they did where rather than the
The
vocals,
dogs.
they just put in dogs barking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that band. Yeah.
And it drives us absolutely nuts when that shit comes on.
Oh,
Yeah, I haven't put that on in a while.
Yeah, I appreciate
The
it.
risk is too large.
I just don't understand how every once in a while it like sneaks in a dog barking one. Like, who's listening to the dog bark one?
They should have taken those out of the playlists.
Yeah, really.
It's jarring. It's like, whoa, what's going on?
They should have never made it, to be honest with you. It's funny for like the joke, but like, oh my god.
I went to something called Pagan Fest 3 years in a row. It's
Yep.
like a touring like Viking folk pirate metal like collection of bands. They would have different bands every year, but it would always be bordering the same theme. And I went from 2007 to 2009. And there was one year that a band came that I knew, and I was like super happy. They were like a black folk metal band, so like sort of like satanic folk metal.
Yeah.
It was really dark folk metal, and I was like thrilled that they were coming because they're super underground, and no one knew who they were. So when they came out and everyone was there to see Corpic Lonnie, which is a really, really famous folk metal band, they were like, we know none of you motherfuckers know who we are. But fuck you, we're here anyway.
I love it.
I was like, this is fucking hilarious. I knew who they were. I was thrilled. I was like, yeah, tell
man,
us pieces of shit how it is.
I'm here for you.
Yeah.
I know there is a band with whose lead singer is a cricket.
A cricket. A real life cricket. Should someone tell Ali?
Like,
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
the
say.
real life, I don't know, like, what's the cricket's lifespan, but like, they definitely have it. Because after like the band with the dog in the vocals,
Yeah.
I started to look up like animal.
You went down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I went down the rabbit hole. I think there was like also the band with the parrot
Yep.
as well. So it was, like,
I
bunch-
seen that one.
Yeah.
I seen that. They put the parrot on the mic.
Oh, it's wild.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's super heavy. And yeah, parrot vocals.
Dope.
I just think like we reached a point with music where like everything has been done before, and so it's like, what else you got? Here's
AI
a fucking
generated.
parrot. You know what I mean? AI generated. They are doing that for sure.
Great.
Did you hear about that podcast that was done between Steve Jobs and Joe Rogan?
What?
Yeah, an AI podcast.
No way.
It's only I think it's only like 17 minutes long, but it's
What?
based on things that Steve Jobs has said, his voice, all the background of his, like all of his background put into a computer, everything he's written, all this whatever background on him, and all the same for Joe Rogan. And they talk for 20 minutes.
Oh my
but
God.
the AIs are like, it's not scripted. It's like they're chatting and learning each other.
Oh.
But it's framed like a podcast. Like Joe Rogan's like, so are you a fan of the show? Have you heard the show? And they're just doing the thing. And they're talking for 20 minutes. It's terrifying.
That is
'Cause, like,
terrifying.
I can tell it's fake, but I know it's fake. You know what I mean? Like you could, if I didn't know that and I had stumbled into it, I might have thought, did these two really talk at some point?
Oh man, that's scary.
Yeah, because what's that technology going to get used for? All of a sudden, I simulated a conversation between you two where one of you is confessing to a crime or something.
Yeah, like, well, but I mean, like that would have to be given an intent. You know what I mean? Like that's the weird thing about an AI thing. So it's like they would have been given. Okay, so this is their backstories, and then there's like an initial push, right? So it's like you get them to talk to each other and ask questions.
Yeah.
And then in the direction of knowing about each other, right?
Yeah.
So it's like,
It was an open concept.
yeah, but you still have those little pushes. The thing that would get weird is like you could dictate the push. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could frame it so it's like, hey, you're gonna do that exact same thing. You're gonna ask this person about murder, and you have murdered, and like that would make the, you know what I mean, the interaction lead to that. But like, the real scary thing is like, what if there is no push? You know what I mean? If the AI just has to like two AI sit in a room together,
That's
but
what
there's
this
no
one
push.
sort of was, I think.
Well, but there has to be a push with
but
this one.
what I mean is, I think like it was just kind of like, let's see what these guys come up with. We'll give them backstory, have a conversation, have a podcast, have a Joe Rogan style podcast.
I mean, really, even if you just are taking in Joe Rogan, like Joe Rogan asks questions,
Of course,
so immediately you've got
there's
your
a push, but
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean though. Like it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna talk about this topic.
Yeah,
It
no,
was
for sure.
have a Rogan style podcast and go, and you're like, oh, it sounds a little stiff, but for the most part, it does flow.
I think like anyways like that the AI has to like study the conversations from like previous podcasts. So like
Yeah,
I don't see the problem like for him like to set up that conversation really.
No, I know. I think it's probably something I knew could happen, but hearing it, it's like, this is unsettling.
Yeah, that's scary.
But I think it's like moving anyways, like to the point where like bank consultations and like hospital consultations could be all AI generated, and like you don't even need to see it in person.
Wow, yeah.
Because it's already like if you call like certain like companies, they like press one to choose this one, So instead of that one, like to have like as a person speaking, but like they just have like AI to have like the consultation, get the information in, and
kind of feel like we're doing that to some degree already. Like I'll get calls here all the time, and hello, this is Aaron from such and such. It's like, okay, automatically hang up. I'm talking to a robot.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm talking to a robot that's calling me for information.
Yeah.
This is not a real person.
Yeah, and you can tell like just like, please tell us what is your inquiries,
Yeah.
And then you can answer like plumbing.
Yeah.
And then like understand it, and then like they continue with the different stuff. So.
This was a little smoother than answering machines and shit, though. Like this was a little more savvy than that. Like,
well, if you got the processing power, that can be like on the other end of the phone pretty easily.
Yeah, it felt like very responsive to any keyword. You know what I mean? Like it was like, if X says X, I say that. Like it was built for any scenario.
Well, think about it. If you've got like a broad enough spectrum of information, like specifically just like take in like the doctor version of diagnosing, right? Like something that looks at all the different statistics and then narrows it down to something.
Yeah.
An AI would do that way better than a human.
Yeah, of course.
You could be a broader spectrum of information.
Just because it can remember more, store more.
Yeah, exactly.
Our brains are pretty full already.
Yeah, and you can't be an expert on everything, right?
No.
Whereas like an AI that has enough processing power, yeah, you absolutely could. You could just have a doctor. Everybody goes to see the AI doctor that tells them what's wrong with them.
Yeah, and it's not attached to like emotions as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
same as like military could use it for.
Yeah.
Not like they like use it for like different like many purposes, but like to kind of like reach out to families as well. Because there's like no call centers, and then it's like no emotions attached there.
The doctor thing is a really great idea.
Well, I mean, our system is so inefficient when it comes to diagnosing problems.
Oh, I just got a letter from my doctor that he's moving his practice.
Yeah, of course.
Right, like he's got too much going on. He can't do it. Like, so basically, I'm trying to get him with Sarah's doctor now. Not that I really care much, but
well, you don't care now.
It could matter, right? But what I'm getting at is like doctors. We don't have enough doctors in this city.
No,
not even close.
Yeah, we're in a huge deficit.
So create AI doctors, and then you're done.
Well, yeah, really. It's an app on your phone.
Yeah. What's wrong with me? Oh, okay. This is what's wrong with you based on X, 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 X.
Yeah, and an AI doctor fills out a prescription, and then it gets Amazon to
and you don't have to pay it $120,000 a year or more.
You can do like Doctor OnlyFans.
Dr. OnlyFans?
There you go.
Like, you're in the other city.
Only patients?
Like, you may not have like that much patience, so it's like for like $17.99 a month.
Yeah. It's a subscription model.
Subscription.
You want to get your answers faster? You want the better standard of care?
They probably would monetize it, right?
Oh, of course, you'd have to.
Like it might start off free, but before long you're paying premium healthcare. Like.
I mean, then you'd be in the realm of you'd have surgeons left, but I mean, really, they have robots that can do surgeries.
I was gonna say, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
we're gonna
fair.
replace that first.
Only care.
Anything physical is easier to replace than the mental aspect of it, I would think.
So, wow, that's terrifying. I never thought AI would put doctors out of a job.
Oh, for sure it will.
That's terrifying.
I think we all gonna be out of the job soon.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Anything physical will be first. I really believe. It's the emotional stuff that they're having a hard time with. Like I said, in that conversation, you're like, okay, that's not quite how a human would react, though. You know what I mean? Like, it's not quite smooth enough yet.
But like, look, the banks are already like. I went to a bank like a month ago, and when I went up on the second floor with like all the business banking and everything, and there was like, there's like desks, like many desks, like many rooms, all of them empty.
Yeah, of course.
Just like one person working. Because like this is it, like they all do it online and shit, so I think it's the same,
you go to
like the rest of the stuff as well.
Like a grocery store, and there's like one person working at the self-checkout with like 15 tills, and only 2 of them are being tended.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's all like, oh, well, self-checkout.
I mean,
how many tellers used to work there?
How soon until you think it's just like, no? I mean, really, that's so many people do their grocery pickup anyway.
I know.
You know what I mean? Like where it's just and in which case you don't need humans to do that eventually. You just automate that. Like, that's weird.
Well, I don't know. We've talked about this topic ad nauseum before, but like, I don't know where you're going to put all these people.
You think it's bad or good? That like
I think it's a bit of both.
I think
it's just we're going to a new thing.
I think our culture struggles with purpose anyways, like having a purpose in life. And I think a lot of people can farm out purpose through a job. Yeah, something to do every day, something that's required of them every day.
Yeah.
Even if it's not because like what we have is a passion, and our job is our passion, right? Whereas for most people, that they just like having someone expect them to be somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you have to be here at 9. There's someone that like because.
Well, even having a passion isn't enough for everyone. Look
no,
at Rick.
Certainly not.
I have to fucking call him every morning.
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, you got your pants on?
Well, but that I think I think he does better with that type of accountability than individual accountability.
A lot of people do.
Yeah. Whereas like
you take that out of the equation, he's dead in the gutter somewhere eventually.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. But that's if you remove that from people, that expectation on them, I don't think that's good. If you don't give them a replacement thing to feel needed, I think that's pretty bad, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of people.
It's kind of like the purpose of existence has to be redefined.
Yeah,
like
really, yeah.
But it's like how to do it all. Well, it's like 7-8 billion people all together. That's like that's a different.
All at once too, because it's happening faster than we can keep pace with.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be like, oh, we're talking about this, and then we're just at home. You know
well,
what I mean,
we're talking about this AI thing on the back burner. Like whatever they're doing today is way crazier than what we found out about.
Oh, of course.
So, you know, it's one of those like it'll surpass our ability to handle it very quickly.
Yep.
And not to mention like the thing that will really suck, I think, is when it starts looking at things as good or bad for people and regulating those types of things.
Well, we see that with the algorithms.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is all of a sudden not interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like and then it's just pushed down.
It's just gone.
Not me necessarily, but like the algorithm goes, people don't like this, and then it's shoved into a corner. And then all of a sudden, if you're a tattooer and it happens to you, then that's potentially less clients. Mm-hmm. But now let's ramp that up. Maybe they decided they don't want to hear from you at all anymore.
Yeah.
Now how do you find anyone? Like, how do you find that person again?
You don't.
Right? Especially because that's where most people get their information now.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the algorithms that control social media are a demo for me of what's to come.
Yeah, I get that.
Like, if you don't learn how to deal with these things while they're rolling them out in this way, you're going to be in real trouble when it's a full send. Because that's what's going to be governing us. Algorithms are going to be running everything eventually.
I mean, yeah, that's your AI, right?
Yeah.
Technically. Like, it's
How
a
many
good
people do you think
example
work
of
at
it.
Instagram?
Not
YouTube.
many.
I'm sure it's shockingly low.
Yeah.
Like, but it's handling so many people.
Well, that's the efficiencies, right? But, like, it doesn't do... Well, again, the thing that's leading industry are... fields that tend to think of most things as like a code or something to that nature, right? Like the idea of the emotional side of our world isn't factored in usually. If it is, it's almost as like a thing to be, a Rubik's Cube to be like a puzzle to solve.
It's hard to code for emotion.
You can use emotion to code, but it's hard to code for emotion. Like, you know what I mean? To like, because you can kind of ride that wave, but it doesn't seem like a thing that they fully grasp. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. I've heard too many people talk about it in such a like simplistic way, and they're all the people that don't seem to have a very good connectivity to that emotional state that exists within them.
Well, we have a weird thing where like anger, disgust, fear, all of those things track really well online, and we haven't found a good way of doing anything about that. But like, if you just let it be organic, then that's what happens, right? But like, you almost need to be like, it almost needs to be super sentient and like aware, and like we're going to let that go farther or not as far as we would happy emotions, so that people don't get blasted with negative all the time. You know, but then you're intervening. So is that better?
Well, the problem is like avoiding would be that, right? Like, so if it's like all these negative emotions, we want to try and stem them away, we'll give you just positive emotions. Avoiding one's emotions is not good. You know what I mean?
True as well.
So like, if you have
it skews unregularly negative. Like it's not that negative. It's not as negative as it seems. You know what I mean?
Well, it becomes extreme, I would say. Like the whole idea around most emotions, and that becomes kind of all emotional states. All emotional states are if you lend them to the extreme, then all of a sudden, and you repress and you repress and repress, all of a sudden the extreme emotion comes out, whatever that version is. And I don't think distracting away from engaging with emotions is the wise thing to do in our society. But it does seem to be like, as you go into technology, that's the route that it goes further and further down. You know what I mean? Like, it's not... it doesn't seem to be aiding us in dealing with that side of ourselves. And my concern would be, like, if you start employing more cold elements, like that AI technology things, it'll create more and more extreme responses to the undealt with emotion, because you're allowing more and more repression, more and more distraction. That would be my thing.
Yeah.
It's like, if they villainize the idea of being angry, angry is just like...
I know, but it's at some level, it's like, I'm sure they're aware of how these things trend, and like, just lean in, just let it go.
So they probably they see like the tip of the iceberg. Like, who knows what's like actually how deep the thing goes, really.
Well, I know they can't control it so much anymore.
No.
It's kind of taken on a life of its own.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're not wrong.
But like, Facebook is the worst one. That's almost completely, like, that's... I have no ties to Facebook, obviously, anymore, but like, you go on there, most old people that use that platform, they get in these like infernos of bad feelings, right? Like my stepdad and my uncle Bob that I've talked about, where they got at each other over masks, right? It's like they have no reason to be this angry at one another other than that they're radicalized by social media.
I would argue that they're not dealing with their normal responses to things.
But that's most people, right?
Yeah. And it's allowing them a place to distract and therefore repress their existing emotion and not deal with it, and just kind of make it worse and worse and worse. And then eventually you have to get to a place where you off gas. Like, there's a blow-off valve that has to be hit, right?
Yeah.
So how extreme is going to be different for every person, which I don't know. I don't know if we're smart enough to deal with that in like a big, cold technological sense.
Yeah, it's a good point, but I think something needs to be done. I don't know what. I wouldn't even know what to suggest. I just think that leaving it completely where it is now is probably not good.
Well, I think we would... I think eventually it would become so uncomfortable. This is my optimism thing, right? So I would like to think that if eventually it got worse and worse and worse, we'd have to pay attention. And then maybe figure out the real root of the problem. Because, like, you know, with the social media thing in terms of Facebook and all that jazz, it's like, okay, they saw now that teen suicide went way up.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, once it's, like, it's horrible that it has to get to that point before we start to take notice of things. But it's one of those, like, eventually the evidence is so great that we have to pay attention a little bit. But the question is, like, does it destroy too much before we start paying attention? Because if we start paying attention...
So, probably.
The thing is, if you start paying attention to it, you're going to stop using it. Right?
That's like with everything, you know, like, people don't pay attention, like, on their diet till it's too late. You know? Like they don't pay attention to like speeding till they got the ticket, you know, and stuff like that. So I think it's like, anyways, that's gonna happen like that, you know. Things are gonna get off the leash, and then when the dog is gonna bite, then suddenly it's gonna be like, oh, okay, we have to like start look where it's going, really, you know. So, I want to say, I will actually be cool and like fucking let it go, you know, like let's see how wild it can get, you know, like
that's an option, and it's probably what's gonna happen.
I kind of revel in it as much as I'm saying we shouldn't. I kind of do everything I can to fan those flames.
Yeah,
like I really enjoy that because I know where it gets me. Like the more anger and hatred and fear and shit, the better you're doing. So it can be, the problem is it can be incentivized, right? Like you can take advantage of that.
Oh yeah.
You can play into it. Like I'm kind of checked out on a lot of that stuff now, but like if I wanted to really build, I would be like Milo, you know? Just fanning the flames, just setting fires and getting people riled up, and then people are talking about you. Right? Yeah. It's pervasive. Like you can capitalize on that.
Yeah,
you can be a real shit disturber and not really have much to say even, or anything good to do. Just I want to get bigger. I'm gonna ride the flames of the algorithm.
Yeah, I mean now I think they're clever and they try and shut you down when you do.
Well, of course they do, but that's where you almost have to know the rules to break the rules, right?
Yeah, fair point.
Like you know what you can get away with and what buttons not to press.
Yeah.
And then you just ride that line like a motherfucker.
But wait, so you're not on the Facebook anymore? Like
I don't do Facebook, but I'm obviously on Instagram.
Do you still use Facebook?
I mean, I have a Facebook, but
yeah, I have one. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah,
on it.
I think like that.
I'll tell you what's happening on it. You got about 75 unread messages from Lee.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I try and avoid things that I feel are making my brain worse, and Facebook was one of those.
You know what's the only thing in Facebook which is actually like useful,
Messenger,
like, really useful and like interesting, and actually you can get like useful information. There are these like Facebook groups, you know, such as like dangerous grinder attachments, toilets with threatening auras. You know?
I was gonna say, do you use Facebook for like guesting and stuff?
No, like the only reason why I use
toilets
it
with dangerous auras.
That's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah.
People like attach like seriously dumb thing, and the people actually they do it like they build up in these grinders, like attach like chains to the discs. You know?
Wow.
It's wild. So that's like the only entertainment I can get out from it. But
well, you know that's better than most.
Yeah.
So I do have a serious question for you though. You use social media for guesting and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, how does that work for you? What works best for that?
Well,
that would be the biggest problem for me, is like reaching out to people and finding places to land.
There's pages and stuff that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
When you join those groups, you can kind of, get messages. I think that's how we found each other.
Yeah, but it was like through the Instagram, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah, because the two groups in Facebook is like dirty toilets, you know.
It's
just.
That's a perfect way to describe it.
Yeah, it really is.
I joined one when we were trying to find another artist here before Alicia came on. And it was just like, it was dirty toilets.
Full of like, it's like kind of like dirty streets, online crackheads and stuff like that, you know. Like, so Instagram, I think, is the most what can bring together with the potential customers and like guest spots as well.
I don't like Instagram, but it's still the best we have.
Yes,
TikTok doesn't have anything like that.
No, and I don't think they care to.
You can't do that with it's not designed.
Well, it's big in Europe now.
That's TikTok.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I use TikTok. I have 1.1 million followers on TikTok.
Oh, okay.
But
so you know how to use
He's familiar with it.
I'm familiar with TikTok, but like there's no real interface to it. It's just here's your video, here's your page.
That's what I mean.
There's nothing else.
There's no side pages that are going to make it easy or like connectivity.
The
or any
Instagram
of that
as an app is like the perfect app for this stuff.
But Instagram was the same at the beginning, you know, like till the point.
Oh yeah,
where
fair
they
point.
Actually, like
fair
there
point.
was no like.
Yeah, there was none of that.
And shit like that. You know?
It was just, hey, look at these photos.
Yeah. So I think it's like it's gonna grow at some point. I think like TikTok could be possibly the next big platform. Because even now, like the Instagram is pushing on the videos, like all those reels instead of like having pictures. Like no one likes pictures
it's
anymore.
It's been pathetic the whole time.
The one I would say that I'm most interested in right now is Twitter, because Elon Musk bought it.
Did he buy it? Did he actually
bought it?
Oh yeah.
I thought he didn't buy it. I thought he backed out.
He went through with it. They're gonna re-platform it. Like the whole thing is gonna change. Oh. He's actually, weirdly enough, he was just in an interview talking about how the Chinese platform WeChat.
Mm-hmm.
He said that's what he's going to do. He said we're just going to do that. Like we'll do exactly what they do.
What is WeChat?
It's their you do everything. Like WeChat is like one of those, apparently it's like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but it's also like marketplace, and you eBay, and you buy and sell goods, and you've got it's
a virtual space.
Basically, a virtual space, but they do everything through there.
Because the problem is right now, even though I'm on like lots of different social media, my home base is Instagram.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be.
Yeah.
Right? I want a home base. Like, you have to have a home base if you're like a business.
Well, that's the thing. It's like a web page almost, right? Like you're like they're making it, again, like it's the one app to do kind of all of it. And if he does that with legit, if he does that with Twitter, and then all of a sudden, because like I've seen some tattooers switch over to Twitter for that reason, because like the platform should apparently expand to be way more usable, like way more like I don't know, home basey, I guess would be the right way of putting it.
That's a weird buzzword that a lot of people don't understand when I say that. But I'm like, if all of a sudden you're like a business in yourself, it is a home base.
Yes.
It's like, this is my virtual identity card, right?
That's what Instagram is for me currently. It's like, hey, look, this is my advertisement for me, the business.
Yep.
And it would be nice if there was a better version of that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been wanting one for years, since we started this podcast or before.
But it'd be nice if there was a home base, and then you could interact with the social space in a different way.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because one of the things that I struggle with is like, I've got, okay, so here's tattoos, and like my stories allow me to do things that are more social, but I can't interact in the real space in like a social way, the way that I would want to. I'd want it to be existing through, but not my, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
know what you mean. You don't
like
want your whole entity like tied up in it.
Yes.
You want to be the entity and then do things extraneously.
Yes, exactly.
Where Instagram, everything is weighted together.
Yes.
It's all tied together in a big knot. And if you do one thing wrong, your whole being suffers for it.
Yep. It's one of those like, I have to only exist in the tattoo world to push my tattoos forward. There's
and then
no
people
like
will say
separate
this,
parallel world that I can exist in.
if you do that dance well, all of a sudden people will be like, oh, don't you have anything else?
Yes.
You're
All
just
you do is
tattoos.
tattoos.
All you do is tattoos. It's like, yeah, because I want my platform to be successful.
Yeah.
I don't want a picture of me pulling up a big bass I caught because it confuses the algorithm. It's seriously incentivized to be, I am a tattooer. These are my tattoos.
Yeah, it's
but
very...
it wants you to be a human being. But if you are, you do worse.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Well, or your tattooing version of you does worse. Because like the guys that do the TikTok and all that stuff really well, the reels, you never see their shit.
No.
Like, you never see their tattoos ever. You see their social media stuff. You see their skits and things.
I think it's like it's just because like they do. It's not because it's not like advertising their like works or something.
No.
It's just making a content people like, I guess. You know?
It makes content people like, but it makes
like,
a content that they skip through.
But it's like I don't see how it works for like advertising.
Here's how it
I've
works.
seen like a few funny like TikTok videos and like related with like tattoos or like tattoo studios. And then like, okay, like who are these guys? And like let me check it out. And then like I follow them on Instagram. That could be the only thing. But at that point, I maybe like scroll through the work, but like the reason why I liked like it wasn't like I follow because of the tattoos.
No,
it was
it's
more
because
like
of the
okay,
skit
so
or
because I
whatever.
use the Instagram more often, they probably post the same videos on Instagram, so I can get that stuff like there.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it's like what we see with you, where it's just like we think everybody's coming to you through TikTok and Instagram on YouTube, but it's not. They're finding you on YouTube,
Which is bizarre.
it's so super bizarre.
'Cause,
And
like,
some of
these
these
things
people
don't
don't even
intersect.
some of these people don't have Instagrams. Some of them don't have TikToks. They're just living on YouTube.
My TikTok is just me always chatting like to the camera, and they're like, "Do you have your legs tattooed?" It's like, yeah, literally one click, you can see my Instagram and see my legs are like. But there's this inherent laziness that forbids people from clicking anywhere else.
Because they just want the next video.
Yeah.
That's it.
There's no cross promotion.
But that's where, like, if you could develop a platform that did that. I could bark and scream
and squawk about my YouTube 24/7 on my Instagram, and the first comment I'll get on that post is, "You have a YouTube?" Seriously.
But that's like, like customers write in the shop's Instagram, and I usually reply, "Yeah, please fill out the contact form on our website." Mm-hmm. And it's like, "What's your website?"
Yeah, it's
like,
baffling.
It's on the bio,
Yeah, exactly.
Honest to God,
the place that
brain.
Everyone else puts theirs. Like,
it hurts my brain.
Yeah.
Like I've ranted about this custom sleeve that was done up for me before, but like it's always my one that I go back to. Like I had like a company did like a concept sleeve on me.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
So many people were like, "Wow, that's an awesome sleeve." And then when I didn't have it in the next picture, like, "Why'd you black out that sleeve?" It's like, it was obviously not real. And it said so in the caption, right up front at the top. But so many people were like, "Oh, that's such a cool sleeve. It doesn't look like a real tattoo."
People just don't pay attention at all. Like now it's like they're all gone off.
It's really disturbing to me.
Like, I mean, that's the future.
But then, like, I had a comment on a Reacts the other day. It's like, "Where's this mythical podcast you're always talking about? It's like it happened in the past, but where is it? Like, what platform is it on?" It's like, it's on YouTube. It's on this channel.
Yeah.
We just put one up a few weeks ago.
It will take about 15 seconds to scroll down and find it.
Even less.
I did as well, like to find it. I wanted to look back on it, like a few days ago. I was like, "Oh, I don't see it." Just scroll 10 seconds a bit more down.
Hit playlists, The Remy Show, the 91 episodes. Like, it's really baffling to me how people can be this way. Because I don't think that I'm much better.
I think it happens in microcosms, and then it gets more the more you engage with it, right? Like, I think that there's that short-term thinking and long-term thinking, or short and long thinking. It's like one is painful technically to us, like it takes work, is what I mean. And I think like when you mostly engage in short thinking, like the quick reactive response stuff, anything that makes it so that you have to deviate from that doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? So like if you're in that mode of like short thinking, and you're like flip, everything's in front of you, you're just happy, or content, or whatever you want to call it. To disengage from that is like saying, "Oh, I want to pick pain currently, or struggle, or something difficult." And it's like the idea of trying to find a website. It's like, no, they're in the mode of give it to me. That's it. I don't want to do thinking. The thinking part of me is
porn
off.
logic almost. Like,
yeah,
I want
really.
instant gratification now.
Yeah.
But I guess I probably always knew it was like this. But when you engage with it on such a high level, at a high volume, where it's rapid fire, the same comments, the same thinking, the same reactions over and over again, it's like, people are much dumber than I could have ever believed. Like, and it's not even an insult. It's just like a sudden realization of like what it is, where it's forced at me almost every day that people don't read, they're not paying attention, they don't it's nothing. It's the attention span is very small, and like I said, I probably always knew that, but when it's in my face constantly, it's like,
yeah, you see how obvious it is.
It's very sad.
Well, I think it's similar to that, like in the real world, like that thing where you're like looking for your keys and they're in your pocket.
Well,
You know
yeah.
what I mean, it's just like, oh, me.
There's one that I answer all the time on TikTok, and my TikToks do very well. Like I have no complaints over my traction on TikTok, other than that it's TikTok, and I wish it was anywhere else.
Yeah.
But TikTok does very well for me, but I answer the same questions over and over and over again. And it's one of those, I could answer it that day, and an hour later, the same question gets asked on the question and on the answer. You know, like, what does your back piece look like? I'll show it off, and someone will say, "Can I see your back?" And it's not being ironic. Like, it's like, dude, you couldn't wait 3 seconds. Like, I don't understand.
Well, because their question is theirs.
Yeah, and they want to be the ones, like,
Their universe is just them. Yeah. Because, like, they don't, like, all that other shit doesn't exist. You know what I mean? Like, that other guy's question that just got asked 10 minutes ago, doesn't exist to them.
People get very angry if you call them out on it too.
Yeah,
like if you ever say, "Hey, asshole," your answer is in this video. They get real angry.
Yeah,
like it's like I would kill you for calling me out on that.
Well, you're being shown that you're dumb. You know what I mean? You're getting, and like therefore like fallible. You know what I mean? Like if you've made a mistake, you're fallible, and you can. People don't like that. People don't like we don't take. The idea of learning where you're wrong is not popular right now. Like it's frowned upon. Trying to search out being wrong is really.
Here's a question though. You're not a commenter.
No.
Are you a commenter?
No.
No, neither am I. I don't like even before I was on any social media, I wasn't a commenter either. Like
Yeah.
I would read the thing and then I would move on, whether I liked it or not. Like it was like I'm not. Who's leaving these comments?
I mean, it's a social thing, right? I don't
Did
think.
I miss some boat or something?
Well, no, because we're creators in all of these spaces, right? So we're the responders to these comments. That's one of the things that when you get into the realm of creating, your whole perspective on it changes. Whereas if you're a consumer, your relationship to it is different. Like, so if I were to do that, I would only do that on something that I am a consumer of. I'm for sure a consumer. You know what I mean? Like if I was to join like a Discord with something or like some sort of engagement thing, it would have to be something where I am strictly a consumer. But since I have that creator side of me, I tend to not. I don't really think it's for me. You know what I mean? Because I am engaging with these things in a different way. Like we're creators.
I
so.
always just think of it like almost like I'm playing a video game or something.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's like I'm doing this dance for a reason. I'm
Yeah.
not doing it because I want to socialize.
Yeah.
Like it's a nerd thing for me. Like it's art in a way too, but it's like gamified for me.
Yeah. You like to gamify a lot of things.
So the part of it that would be social or like fun, I don't really understand that because I don't use that for fun.
Yep.
That's work for me.
Yeah, but like I watch like Jesse's is a good example of that. He's got like a very like with his Patreon and stuff like that. Their community version of things is you can see that they all kind of interact with each other on a regular basis, and it's like a hang. You know what I mean? And I can understand that. It's not really for me, but I can understand it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't think I'll unless it was something again that I'm a regular consumer of. Then maybe I would. But like to be involved in the community of it, I feel like if anything, I'm trying to create a community.
But here's like. So then you could say like, okay, well, if you don't like social media, why would you use it, kind of thing, right? Like that's what people will be thinking if, after what I just said, I can imagine.
Sure.
But like, Alex Rose is a perfect example of your platform's a decent size, but like if you really push social media, you could be 200-300K, easy. I've seen people with worse work get bigger name recognition.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
But it's like have a life outside the social media.
Oh, of course you do.
know, so like it's kind of like.
And you're successful enough.
But it's kind of like I don't like to spend too much. Like I get angry if I spend too much time on like Instagram and stuff. Obviously, the job is job, So I do like certain things and like certain tasks like daily with the social media platforms to.
Yeah, you have
keep
to.
updated with my like customers, potential customers, and then like kind of connect with like all that kind of audience. But apart from that, like I'm not interested like having like 200-300K. Like I don't really need that. Like I don't think so. If those will also be like potential customers, I think that will be like chaos to control it. Obviously like it's good to have like more work and to be secured in like further in the future, but I think there should there is some kind of like limit for each person.
Yeah. Well, we're talking about the TikToks and what the appeal of making those antics where it's not about the work. People associate big followings with good skill, right? You could be a bad tattooer with 400,000 followers and people would still book with you because they think you're some kind of a, oh, well, look at the size of them. You know what I mean? Like, and then you look at the work and it's not bad, but it's mediocre. It's not really deserving of that level of following, but
well, like
for the work's sake, anyway.
That's one of the tricky things about if you are a social media person. strictly getting it off of your work is going to get you to a certain thing. If you're going to become a personality and an influencer kind of thing, that can get you a number. Now, whether or not that number equates to a client base, that's the real question. It will get you clout.
All
you know
of a sudden,
what I mean?
like you look at Hood. He didn't even do blackout.
Yeah.
Really, he did one here or there, and then he became famous for it. Now it's all he can post.
But I mean, like that's strictly off work. He didn't become a personality, right?
No.
Whereas, like if you were to say, Kat Von D's following, huge.
Yeah,
right?
that's
huge.
That's another thing.
But at the same time, her following in respect to her client base, that number is very different.
Oh, definitely.
You know what I mean? Like very different. But in terms of clout, it does mean that you can charge more. It does mean that you have a bigger footprint and that kind of thing. And you more than likely will be fine for work pretty much forever. But if you start focusing on the number doesn't necessarily mean dollars. And if you don't have
you
that,
can't figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's tricky to monetize it. Like, it's honest to God, it's tricky to monetize it.
Yeah. You have to be able to do both somehow. You know what I mean? It's like that I think is a skill set in itself, because you got to be able to kind of tackle both avenues. You got to have people like you and want to be around you, also spending money. Yeah. And that's tricky. You know what I mean? Like just because you have a certain number and then all of a sudden you try to sell something doesn't mean that you're going to sell all of it.
I'm sure there's a real appeal to be a low-key badass.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But like Rick is always my perfect example. The guy takes the worst photos ever. He can't take a decent photo. So even if he got really interested in doing social media, it would be like, I'm posting every day at the same time, and it's always terrible. You know what I mean? It's always like
it's always
he's
a poorly
actively
framed photo.
losing clients as time goes on. Maybe just don't post.
Yeah, maybe don't. That might do worse for you.
You're making yourself look worse than you need to.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, because the pictures can't really tell the story, you know. So like, if you can't do it and like you post it, it's kind of like,
yeah.
yeah. Well, what happened there? But